Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading is looking at where are you ahead in life, where can you get even further ahead, and how do you stay ahead? So it's kind of in this game we call life, this sort of experience we have, what are your sort of advantages, what are your skills, what gets you ahead, keeps you sort of like ahead of the curve, all of that kind of thing. So hopefully it'll be kind of fun and illuminating. Looking at the choice of pile, it's really based on which tarot deck you want to choose because I'm using different tarot decks for each pile. And there is actually a reason for that, which I'm not going to talk about now, but I'll talk about in the reading. But for that reason, if you're sort of someone who gets drawn to more than one pile, or if you do feel that at the moment, I would suggest thinking about which is the primary one and which is the secondary, because you understand why. When I talk about why each deck was chosen, it'll give you another layer of understanding about what's going on if you do that. But, you don't have to. You can just choose one and go with it, whatever works for you. I don't think there's a lot else that I need to say in terms of introduction because it's pretty self-explanatory. We're just going to be looking at those three levels, like now, future, and staying ahead, through various lenses and with tarot and oracle cards, and see what advice we can give you. So for pile number one, we have the Compass Mentis Tarot, and this is the Death card. I'll just bring this up so that you can see. It's very hard with the writing, with the lighting that I have here. Sometimes it's hard to see what the cards are there, but that's the Death card. For pile number two, we have the Tarot of Sacred Kingdoms with the High Priestess card. And for pile number three, we have the Highly Sensitive Heartlight Edition tarot deck with the Lovers. So when you know what reading, or as I say, readings that you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome to pile one. So, as I said in the introduction, the choice of deck here is very important, so the choice of reading, because different decks focus on different key areas of sort of like talent, focus, skill, etc. This particular deck, Compass Mentis Tarot, to me is a highly strategic deck. It makes me think of like a game of chess, with the black and white checkerboard. So the black and white colouring, the monochromatic. And in chess, if you think of it as an analogy, the strategy is not just understanding the boundaries and the side and the kind of in binary sort of situations, the either or sort of questions, but it's also the shades of grey. How are your moves on the chessboard impacting other people? What do their moves do to impact you? So this is a highly analytical and strategic group that have come to this particular one. This deck also is kind of an amalgam of like what the conscious mind would think, but also what the unconscious mind thinks. So that's the other binary that is being balanced here between what you unconsciously, spiritually are sort of guided by, which is maybe your intuition, and then also what you're intellectually looking at doing strategically on a kind of a mind level. So this is telling me, firstly, that you are a highly strategic group of people. And one of the main things that keeps you ahead in life, that's got you where you are now, which will take you further and which will keep you in that kind of front row position, so to speak, is a sense of strategy and understanding of the choices associated with things and the nuances. And that makes it particularly interesting that you have the Death card that you came to, because this is a card of choice. And it's a card of choice. There are like two sets of choice cards in the tarot. One is the twos that come up in any of the arcana, or minor arcana. They are about choices around, like the heart with cups or the intellect with swords or whatever. They're kind of very personal choices. When you have there's three key choice cards within the major arcana. One is the Lovers, and that is choices around relationships on one form or another. Then there's Death and Judgment, and they're both choices and transitions that are a bit agnostic to topic, but they are externally driven. So in all three of those major arcana choice cards, there's some external driving force that is pushing towards a choice. The Death card allows you a bit more time, which is interesting here, to make a decision, whereas the Judgment card, it's like if you don't make a decision at the moment that you get it, then, or very soon thereafter, then the opportunity may pass. That may or may not be a problem, but if it was a potential strategic advantage, you wouldn't want to let it pass. So we have this. There's something about a transition right now for you. You're at a tipping point, a choice that you have to. Part of the strategy is working out what and when to do what you need to do. So these cards give us a bit of an idea of the kind of trajectory we're looking at. So this looks like there is for you either now or it's coming in very soon, because this is sort of more the present, some sort of an offer or some sort of support. So this could be a choice around a new job, a new boss, a benefactor or a patron for something, or receiving certain material things to be able to take something forward. So in the context of winning in life, it's like there is an opportunity for some form of patronage, support, financial or otherwise material assistance operating. And this looks like one of the things that's actually working in your favor at the moment, because this is what these two cards are supposed to be about, is that you don't rush into things. So we combine the Death card, as I say, with its choice energy as opposed to the choice energy of the Judgment card, with the Knight of Wands reversed, which is getting ready to move, do things, but slowing it down, not just rushing in. One of your true strategic advantages, and so one of the things that means that you're ahead of the pack, pile one, is that you don't rush in the minute that something comes in. You're not going to fall for a snake oil salesman or something that's too good to be true. Equally, you're not going to dismiss something too quickly. So you take the time to look at all the moves. You're the person, whether your mind works at 1,000 miles an hour and you move pretty quickly through a chess game, or whether you really do take time in between each move to work out the consequences of different moves and what's likely to occur. This is part of your overall strategic and advantage, and it is for you a strategic advantage, is that you take the time, a considered amount of time to make decisions, particularly when there are material outcomes. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the tarot a little bit more. We're going to have a look at where you are ahead right now, like what sort of aspects in your life or in your approach you're ahead already. Then we're going to have a look at what's coming in, possibly as a result of this opportunity or tangential to this opportunity. But how can you kind of almost ramp up your strategic advantage and your understanding of the game and so forth. And then we're going to see what do you need to do to maintain that advantage, that sort of winning position in life. So what's working really well right now around being ahead in life? Page of Pentacles, Nine of Swords reversed, Four of Cups reversed, Temperance reversed, Three of Cups reversed. Okay. Partly you don't emphasize emotion. Like, it's very interesting that you came to this reading, because I say it's very, of all of them, it's probably the most sort of intellectual kind of, a little bit more detached, a little bit more theoretic, a little bit more strategic, as I said. So you don't have emotional blocks. You're not looking for some sort of quick wins or group affirmations or anything like that. And in fact, you can pick up when there is an imbalance going on with others. So if this was literally looking at your strategic advantage on a chessboard, you would be able to read the tells of the other person really, really well. Like you would pick up, by the way they move or what they do. And so more generally in life, you can pick up when people are off balance emotionally, when they're not happy, when they're blocked, and that either works to your advantage because you can be someone who helps them and kind of slows them down and gets them to right themselves, so it becomes something where you help with choice. And for some of you, it could be that. You could be a therapist or an advisor or a mentor or a coach or something where you really use that very, very well. Or it could be that you understand this to know to stay ahead, that because you are more detached, you don't worry as much as other people because you always have a plan. You always think about 5 steps ahead. You always know what you're doing. And you do have a very realistic and grounded plan. You know what this really means materially. For you, there is a very material outcome. To be ahead of the game is to have not necessarily millions of dollars, though some of you may. It's more to have a really grounded, secure place to move from and choose from, so that you're not wasting time worrying about it and worrying, will it turn out to be a bad choice, and worrying about whether things are out of balance. So you take the time to plan. That sort of saying, fail to plan, you plan to fail, then you're all over that. You know that you need to plan, and you do have a plan. But you are able to nuance it when you need to, particularly if you see things getting out of balance emotionally. So I think your real advantage at the moment is that you're always 4 or 5 steps ahead. You're not worried because you kind of worked out the variables. So what could turbocharge this. What, particularly maybe with this opportunity or choices coming in, could make you even more ahead of the game. Seven of Pentacles, Ten of Swords. Oh, this is interesting. Devotion. That's an additional major arcana in this card. The Fool reversed. Okay. So firstly, I think you go in a kind of a cycle with the Fool reverse showing up here. You either have stages of planning and growth, and I think that you're in that at the moment and like feeling pretty calm. You know, you've got the sort of opportunity, you're not rushing anything. So I think you might have that cycle and then you let that go and you start again. There's something here about understanding what you've seen in the patterns of things. So a new opportunity, if this represents a new opportunity coming in where this is a plan, it's you need to look back and see things in the past. There's something in the past that is a bit similar. And I think some of it is asking you to explore, where if you're very good at seeing when other people's tells show or when they get very emotional about something, there's something in your past where maybe you were so dedicated to something that became a bit imbalanced. It was you were devoted to it and it caused you a lot of worry. Like you learned from it, but there's something coming around again because there's a growth opportunity here. So what I think it's saying for you is you have this really great sense of being able to plan and being strategic and seeing the chessboard X number of moves ahead, all of that kind of thing. And you could stay ahead and win most games and feel good just on that. But if you go back and have a look at something where you were out of balance and study it, like just as this person, and almost prune it back. This is like bonsai, right? Prune it back and look at its essential elements. You can go to another level. You can actually risk more. I think this is a little bit risk averse and it's understandable. When you're strategic, you don't necessarily want to get overly involved. But there is something in your past where you were so keen on something happening, and I suspect it didn't happen. It dramatically didn't happen. There's a learning in that takes you to the next level. So don't just leave it behind. Okay, so if that's what will take you to the next level, how do you then stay ahead of the game with both those things? So kind of being able to engage your own emotions in a way that is paired back and used and understood and part of the equation. It's not as detached. It's like you've been very good at the detached strategy. Now it's like get a little less detached, learning from the past so that you know how to manage that as well. How do you stay ahead then? Three of Pentacles, Ace of Cups reversed, Three of Swords. Okay. So there's something in you, like, as I say, because there is this sort of concept of like the tell of other people and the emotions, and there's been something in your past where you kind of had that happen yourself, and you now prepare to make sure that doesn't happen because you don't want to be taken offside. But it is saying, look at that. This all has to do with when you do stuff on your own and when you involve others. So when you're either somebody who's a benefactor, someone is a benefactor to you, or where you collaborate. There's something here about understanding the art of collaboration. And for you, the detachment is part of it, to be honest. It's saying that you as a person should only collaborate for a particular period of time. It's like you're more a lone person. You're more sort of someone who'd run their own business or, have their own consultancy or something like that. So that you work with people for periods of time, but you don't get too emotionally connected to them because you've got to keep moving. This is also the cyclic thing. There's something in you, some sort of job, some sort of vocation, some sort of activity that takes you but through different groups of people. And you kind of bring this balance of emotion, if you've understood your own emotions, and planning. You can really help accelerate other people, but it's like the detachment is what's important because you can't stay still. That's the other reason why we had the Death card. Part of your strategic advantage, but also just part of you is about change and transition. You will change and you'll go through cycles and go through changes more than a lot of other people will do. I mean, one could argue that we all do it to some degree. Our bodies, our cells, I think, change or transition every 7 years or something. We go through different maturation stages. There are certain things that are universal, but for you, there is a cyclic thing. If you are best using your strategic ability, there is a cyclic energy to it. So it's kind of like, don't get too attached to other people. It doesn't mean you can't have love or anything like this. It's much more around staying ahead in life and the material outcomes, but it's plan to work with people, bring together constellations of skills or helping groups of people for a period of time, but know that there is always an out, that the exit door is ready, because this is not what you do. Actually, the interesting thing for you, I think, is that overall your whatever you do for like money or anything like that is not what's truly within your heart. I think there was something that didn't work out, and there is a different way of integrating this materially for you. So it's like you can understand that and use it. But overall, it's saying you don't live to work. You would work to live, for instance. And so part of your strategy is being able to separate out from that when you need to. So, and I suspect that by and large, you would keep your work life and your personal life very separate. Because this sort of feels like traveling light. It feels like the best way for you with your nature to have that advantage is to kind of like go in and out of organizations, in and out of groups of people, in and out of client groups, that kind of thing. But it's very strategic. Short term, get in, achieve something, move on. That's the energy, I think, that works really well for you. So let's have a look at just some fortune energy that's around that at the moment with Lenormand. So what's fortune energy is around you? Given that that's your blueprint for current and future success and being ahead of the game, what fortune energy are you dealing with right now? Given that there's maybe an opportunity that you're kind of taking your time with. We have house. Okay, the security of things. This is why you're sort of starting each of these rows. Look at each of them started on pentacles. You have a very, how grounded is this? How secure is this? That's good. You're using the energy really well because there's something about what is secure and important to you. Snake, because there are some people not to trust. So you are some of this energy and some of what happened before, and this may be in fact what happened before, understanding the signs, reading people, that's become part of what you do. It maybe wasn't when this first happened and it's become part of it now. It's how this is almost like if you were doing this like a business plan, this would be your risk management actually, having a good risk management on other people that are involved and not getting too connected to anybody. Moon. Gentle energy here. This isn't the hidden like it is in tarot. So there is a gentle energy. Maybe there is kind of like becoming a little bit more gentle, a little bit more emotionally connected. Not too much, but enough to understand, because you were very emotionally and very spiritually dedicated to something that you feel didn't work out. So this is kind of gently allowing that back in. And tree, things will grow, things will blossom, like just like the bonsai tree. There, it's like things are meant to grow and blossom. So this is a good period for you. You do have to be a little bit careful of other people, but you don't have to be too caustic or difficult about it. I don't think it's going to be really conflict-based. It's just knowing, trust yourself over other people, trust your planning and your strategy over other people. This is a secure foundation for something to grow. So that is good. So let's just have a look at chakra energy, what to balance or what is balance that you can use right now. Firstly, heart chakra. Underactive, I love, but can be overly self-critical. Okay, so yeah, you have shut down some of your emotion because you got hurt by something. And this is saying protect your heart. Don't get your heart involved in some of this material stuff. That's the main thing. That alleviates that. But remember that you have actually learned how to be good at reading other people. So don't give yourself too much of a hard time. We have then the third eye, so connections with others, balanced, I see and have clarity. So good. You do see what's around you. You are very clear. As I say, you would be able to see the tells in a game on a gambling table really well, in a poker game or something like that, or in chess. So I'm not sure to what degree tells show in chess. I'm not sure. I'm not good at chess, so I really don't know. And the sacral chakra, oh, wow. Overactive, I feel manic. Okay. So this might be this is good, that when you do feel that way, and you could like convert over here to feel, oh, it gets all dramatic and it's not going to work. Get you slow down and get the clarity. So I think you're very well aware of that. You know when you've been triggered. You know when you need to slow down. But it does happen. When you're in the creative process, that's when it's the most fast moving. That's why you like to have this solid plan, and that's how that works for you. Okay, so we're also going to throw the Astro dice, and we're going to roll for each of those 3 levels. So we're firstly going to look at what's really working for you at the moment. What can you develop if you, as I say, understand something that happened before and learn from it for growth. And then also how you stay detached enough and in a cyclic way enough to kind of get the best out of things. So firstly, where you're at the moment, we have the South Node in Taurus in the 12th house. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of leaving past things behind. And overall, that's fine generally. And the 12th house is very much a kind of death card house in a way. Transitions, changes, moving away from things. There is a transition around material things going on at the moment. So that's showing that, and that you're able to do it. But I would say that there is something, like at the moment, as I say, you probably do fine with that. But if you really want to work really well, the next thing said you do need to go back and have a look at something from the past that is very precious and was maybe a bit painful. So before you rush off into the future, maybe do that. So let's see what astrology we get around that exercise of understanding something in the past so that you refine your growth strategy. Okay, so we have Saturn in the 11th house in Aries. Okay, I suspect that whatever occurred is that you ran into like other people who wanted to be the primary mover, or there was competition in some way. It was probably something quite new and connected with other people, groups of people or whatever. So you've kind of detached because of that, because there was competition. And it may even have been competition from the old guard of something. You tried to come in and bring something really new. You tried to make it happen. You interacted with other people, and then it was blocked or stopped in some way. But there is a lesson in there somewhere for you. And it's connecting to this, because I think it's connecting to knowing when to kind of use energy and move forward and feed off manic stuff, and when to sort of stop and pull back and look at stuff, and not to give yourself a hard time about it. So then astrologically, what do we have around that sort of sense of cyclically connecting with others, but not getting too emotionally connected to that, like keeping, as I say, your work and your personal life separate, or something like that. We have Aries again. Okay. The moon in the 5th house. Okay. Firstly, I think it shows that creatively there could be competition around creativity that you need to be aware of. I feel like Aries is quite a competitive sign. Like it really wants to be first. It really wants to dominate. And this is like creative or love situations with the moon. It could get a little bit emotional or a little bit hard to see. I think that this is saying protect, just like that is, protect what is really emotionally and romantically important. Keep those things separate from the direction you're doing, because it's like you need to be able to, as they say, hang on tightly, let go lightly, that kind of energy. There's a lot of passion here, and it may be that you are going to meet someone through work or something. With the 3 of Pentacles upright and then the Ace of Cups reverse and then the 3 of Swords, it could be that coming up is an energy where you may meet someone in the work situation. It's then, I think, very important to separate it out, because otherwise once you leave the work situation, it's gone. So you need to, almost with this, find its own place to be, particularly if you want it to grow. Okay. So it's not telling you won't have relationships, but it's saying be careful how you manage them within this, because you are really very competitive. And I don't think that necessarily you are trying to be that way, but you're in a very competitive, very be first, leading type energy around you and around those that you deal with. So it does become more difficult to connect that back to, if you're in a more kind of service delivery and there's not a lot of change and there's not a lot of competition, it's a little bit easier to have a kind of social life at work, if that makes sense. Okay, so what we're going to finish with is a wild card. So I'm going to ask you to choose between 1 and 5, and I'm going to just put down a card from the Cute and Creepy Tarot for that, to see what we have as a final message. What I would say with this, because we're looking at your strategic advantage, is that if the wild card is challenging, it's a challenge that will occur just before you have a breakthrough. If it is positive, it's a sign that you will see or feel when you are in flow to be ahead and stay ahead. So please pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal them out. So for number 1, we have trickster. For number 2, we have the moon. Gee, there's a moon energy for some of you. For number 3, we have collaboration. For number 4, we have temptation. And for number 5, we have stand up. Okay. So if you chose number 1, it's really connecting into that snake energy. There is something trickster around something coming up at the moment, and you are wise to wait and plan and see. It might be okay. It might be okay to work with someone or to take an opportunity or to take some sort of offering, as long as you do know your escape clause. I think that's really important, that it's not a long-term thing. But otherwise, just really double check everything, particularly if there's money or legality or something involved, because something is not quite what it appears. But when that happens, you'll know that you're on the point of actually understanding it and like being one step ahead of this energy and other energies. If you chose number 2, there's a lot here about connecting in with your instincts. Like your emotions actually do need to be brought more into this. And I think that second row of tarot is telling you about that. There's something where you really did get hurt, and it's like, go and look at that and understand it, and you can protect yourself. You can have a sanctuary against that, and things can grow emotionally, can grow in a better way. And it might have been that, there was somebody you couldn't trust or whatever. So use your instincts on that, because you do read people really well now. If you chose number 3, then you're definitely meant to work with other people, but I do think it's sort of saying that you do it kind of for a period of time and then move on. It's also really important, I think, that everybody is equally valued. You may have the biggest piece of this, but there's a kind of a mutual valuing operating at that, so you don't get that competitive energy. If you chose number 4, something's trying to lure you away from your true purpose at the moment. Some change is probably not what it appears. So this is really showing this. There's an offer and it's probably a bit too good to be true. The good thing is that you're pulling back and looking at it. If you can read the people, work out whether there's something in that that's triggering something you wanted before, and then work out, okay, is there a way to progress this to a particular point but have the exit strategy when I need it? Then you'll know how to use that energy. And lastly, we have stand up for yourself. So if there's bullies or issues where people are trying to push you into something, then that again is pulling back, not getting into a battle with them, but understanding what's going on and putting the terms that will work for you. Because you are the truly strategic person here. Like anybody who's trying to do that is not, so you are much, much better at really leading this out. And if you need to, just move away and walk away from it. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Tarot of the Sacred Kingdoms. And as I said in the introduction, there's a very specific energy that I chose each of these decks for, to give me a little bit of an idea about, if you come to this pile, part of what your kind of winning strategy is, where you're winning, how you get ahead, how you stay ahead, how you can get more ahead, all of that kind of thing. And if you came to the Tarot of Sacred Kingdoms, I feel that your energy is very mythic. Probably highly spiritual, particularly since the High Priestess was the Major Arcana card that came out for the pile choice. But overall, there's a mythic energy to this. You would be the sort of people who really respond to the concept of the hero's quest. You're kind of Frodo with the ring, you're Daenerys with her dragons. There's all of those kinds of things. There's an energy of something bigger than yourself, a quest. You're an Arthurian knight, or you're King Arthur himself, that kind of thing. Or maybe with the High Priestess, you're Merlin. It's that kind of energy. It's a little bit larger than life. It's mythic, as I say, and it has reverberations. It's not just a kind of staying ahead for a personal, material outcome or something like that. It's making a mark, a legacy, particularly with the 2 cards that came with it, which are kind of showing energies that are around at the moment. So if we look firstly at the High Priestess, there's something about you have secret knowledge as well. You have, whether it's spiritual, esoteric knowledge, and whether it's in this life or from other lives, you have that. You have a connection to the mysteries. You are quite mysterious too. So one of the things that, I'm getting Aragorn at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, when they first come across him, and they call him Strider, if I remember correctly, when the hobbits first come across him, they don't know who they're dealing with. Eventually they find out, but that's, part of the journey. Like there's something a little bit hidden, something a little bit yet to be seen and fully realized in you, or for people to recognize. Or even if you have reached that, it's like you can still be hidden. It's like the king who can dress as a beggar and go out and be with his people to see what's really going on. So there's something of the mysterious around you. There's something of the esoteric, hidden knowledge, but there's also, as I say, something kind of mythic. But it's, at the moment, this has to do with the shifting of some sort of material regime. It could be as simple as your advantage in getting ahead is about leaving one workplace and finding one where you're going to really thrive. It could be that you're involved in something social or political where an old order is falling with the 10 of coins reversed and a new order is coming in, whether it's you taking some sort of like sovereign role or whether you are supporting, like Merlin with King Arthur. It's definitely something about a long-standing change too. A big change from something that's been for a long time. This is a bit also like the Tower card. And then something that is meant to, as I say, be mythic, be almost transcending time, like something that would last. So there's a sense of a legacy about what you do and like how you operate within the world. You do create a legacy or a mythos. You'd be the sort of person who you worked in a workplace, you did some sort of change. People didn't really understand how you did it because it was all kind of mysterious. And then you'd go off somewhere else and people would talk 10 years later about when this person was there, what happened. There's something like that going on with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the tarot. We're going to firstly ask for a little bit about what is your current way that you are ahead of the pack. Then we're going to ask, what else could you do that would take you even further ahead? And then we're going to ask, how do you stay ahead of the pack? Because, one can get ahead of the pack. And for you, if some of this is around mystery, the more that people see what you're doing, a bit like a magician on the stage, if they start to understand how you've done the tricks, you start moving backwards. So how do you stay ahead? So firstly, a little bit about where you are at the moment, bearing in mind that there's something going on at the moment about one old material regime falling away so that a new, longer one can come in some way in your life. So we have 8 of Wands. Oh, look at that dragon. That's pretty cool. 7 of Wands. The Chariot. Wow, there's a lot about movement here. 10 of Swords reversed. And yeah, the end of something. 3 of Coins reversed. Okay, I'm going to say and it's probably because of the nature of this thing when I was sort of saying all the kind of Lord of the Rings things, but that kind of feels to me over here, this feels a bit like at the end of Lord of the Rings where the hobbits as a group separate out because the drama is now done. I feel like you've actually already won something and this change that's going on has something to do with it. So on a very kind of day-to-day level, you could have just won a new job that is really going to do extremely well for you and you're now going to leave where you are and it's not going to be as dramatic as you think it might be, but it's still an ending. And it's separating out from others that you've collaborated with or worked with before. So it's a time of parting, but it's really to move forward. This is accelerating your advancement. It's saying it's stepping up. Like you are meant to step up. So whether you're meant to be the king or whether you're, as I say, meant to be the king's advisor or whatever it is, you're stepping up. And this is destiny. This is calling you to move fast. So it'd be like, just after something collapses, like after the tower collapses, we go into the star. It's like one needs to move very quickly towards that because otherwise you're just in all the rubble, So, but there is some sort of this change, this energy at the moment for you is going to require you to come out of a situation where I think you've had kind of comrades in arms or whatever, and you're separating out from them. Doesn't mean you can't still be friends with them or whatever, but there is a momentum. You're being called to move forward and being called to be brave, which fits with the mythic thing. But boy, you're going to move fast when that happens. So as I say, Daenerys with her dragons, Aragorn, Frodo and the other hobbits, there's that kind of sense around it. If you think of those sort of storylines and then apply that to what you're doing, you are at that success point where everything starts to move, where the kind of the power and the momentum is there. So you, part of what keeps you ahead or has got you ahead is that momentum and that bravery and that courage. and that acceptance of a kind of destiny. And you've achieved something there. So there is an ending and a new beginning. So what in the next phase will keep you ahead or take you even further ahead? Nine of Swords reversed, the Hierophant, Eight of Swords reversed, the Emperor. Okay. I think for most of you, I mean, there is a possibility for some of you, you're moving into something like being a CEO or you're a leader of a political movement or something like that. And so you definitely could be the King of Pentacles and the Emperor. But I think for most of you, when I see this and that, I think that you are being positioned to be a trusted advisor to someone in a position of power, or there is something like that. Your knowledge, it's going to actually be more being hidden a bit and a little bit underestimated is part of what worked for you so far. The next step, your knowledge and ability needs to be liberated a bit and shared a bit more. And so like not fearing that, not fearing being seen, like not fearing taking the cloak off and being seen as the wise person. Because look, these look very similar. They're very similar, but this one is in light and this one is hidden. So I think coming out into being seen and connecting with power in some way. So either being advisor to power or taking on a position of power, but you have to be more seen. Up until now, you could have been, traveling with others, working in groups and being a little bit hidden, all the knowledge and so forth that you had. But now it's sort of like, the veil has been lifted, like literally the veil that you think of with the High Priestess. So you're going to have to be more visible now to not only keep that advantage or take it further. So let's look at keeping the advantage. What helps you keep, once you've got these two advantages, what keeps you ahead in life? Like what is the sort of the thing that stabilizes or secures that for you? Nine of Cups, Eight of Cups, Seven of Cups. Oh, that's interesting. Got a run of them in order, and they're going in that reverse order, which is interesting. So what drove you in the first place? Because of this mythic thing, as I say, you are a kind of mythic being. You are someone who has a cause, who has a quest. So the thing that keeps you ahead is staying true to that quest. What is the dream? And believing in the dream. It's always possible. Then it's letting go of anything that didn't work or held you back or felt, being able to let go if you have to sort of move to a different position and be around different people or whatever. Staying with the dream, but letting go of anything emotionally that isn't working. And then working out the next step of the dream. So it's almost like kind of looking in reverse. To be able to stay in the dream and stay ahead, you have to have understood what you continue to dream about and what you let go. So there's as I say, and that was showing up right there. It's like moving forward, but also letting go at the same time. And this is all about the heart. So this is all about courage. This is all about the mind, and this is all about the heart. The other thing it makes me think of is something like the Wizard of Oz, and you have it's a lion who wanted the courage, I think, from memory, and then the scarecrow, or did the scarecrow want the courage? I can't remember now who wanted what, but one wanted courage, one wanted a heart, and one wanted to, be able to have a mind to work it out. So you've got the courage, you've got the mind, and then you've got the heart. So it's a similar thing. I think for you, seeing yourself and finding yourself in a number of sort of mythologies and sort of fantasy stories is very real. It's not escapism. It is actually very real. You would start to see some of the imprints of your life in that way. So talking about your life, let's have a look at the fortune energy that's around you right now. So your heart is what keeps you ahead in reality, going right back to the purpose. But your bravery has taken you forward this far, and your mind is going to take you even further. That's what this is sort of saying. So what's the fortune energy for you? Garden. Okay. You've separated out from some, but you've got to now go into the garden, go into a social environment, connect with others. And I think, be more seen in some way. So it's sort of like there's a social networking kind of aspect to what's going on for you at the moment. It's fortunate. The moon, yeah. And like it's gentle. You don't have to be kind of all guns blazing. Like you have a lot of courage, but you don't really have to be saying this. This is more the mind and conversation and teaching and that kind of thing. It also means I think social elements around you are likely to be more enjoyable and more gentle now than maybe they were if you were kind of with others sort of fighting a cause before. We have bear. There's big things involved, like this is big, and there's big protections around you as well. But like anything you're doing is big, even if it feels more lighthearted, there's still a big purpose because that's who you are. And child, okay, so for some of you, it could be about finding the right kind of connection socially to start a dynasty, to start a family, and you have to separate out from just kind of friendships and move into something that's much more of the heart there. But beyond that, the child is also just new things. So starting something new with the mind of a child, with the curiosity of a child, because you have a lot of wisdom you're bringing in, but also keeping yourself open to what could come in. So let's see what kind of chakra energy you need to balance at the moment. Firstly, the root chakra. Overactive, I am being impulsive. Okay, this is the shift. The shift because that's your natural energy right now. Just move forward, just go with it, just act. But you are going to be in this more complex environment, like politically, socially, organizationally or whatever. And you do want to be able to connect back to your heart and what you want to really create. So it is important to be aware that it's very easy for you to become the warrior. That's a part of the myth. It fits very easily for you, but you do have to bring the other stuff in to fully get your potential. So then we have the heart chakra, and we have, I love unconditionally, that's balance. And that makes sense as well too. You're very much about the cause, about the true dream. You're the good guy in the fantasy, what this is saying, beyond anything else. You're always the good guy because you're coming from your heart. And then we have the throat chakra. I talk and notice body language, balance. So yeah, like this is because you are going to be more social. It's like you did have a group of people or others you work with, but that's shifting. You're shifting to another level. That ability to communicate well and to notice what's going on around you will really help you. The heart gives you the drive towards that, which is good. But you do have to kind of rein in your fight now, think about it later type of approach because it's like a level of subtlety and nuance. You're moving up into something that's more nuanced in some way. Not more nuanced than what you can do, but it's just a different energy to what got you to where you are now. Okay, so let's also use the Astro die. So we're just going to roll it 3 times. First time for this energy where you are now. Second for what you can build into in the future. And the third for how you keep that strategic advantage. So firstly, where you are now and being ahead in life. Okay, we have Uranus. See, that would fit with all this energy in the 10th house. Yeah, so there's something about what you do in your career or whatever that is all about change, movement, dynamism, etc. in Aries. Yeah, like you're in a very competitive environment. You're in a very power-oriented environment. Again, that fits with mythology. Like it doesn't deal with like day-to-day stuff. It's talking about the big ticket issues and the big ticket change. And there is a lot of change around you with the 2 10s reversed there. So that energy is there. Like you, on steroids, you have that kind of change energy. So what about the kind of more subtle, bring it out and be more the knowledge and the advisor type of energy or the leader? Okay, we've got Uranus again. So it's definitely about change still, but now it's in service to others. Yeah, that makes sense with the 6th house and in Cancer. So it's more about creating a dynasty, creating a new sort of power structure or whatever, but one that's more inclusive, one that's more caring. It could be creating a family and being in service to that, bringing that energy to that. You are very Uranian. You're very much a change agent. But like the first one, it was sort of like, this is like your career's like this. Now it's like how you make that to be of service. And then what keeps you ahead is Venus. So the heart, yeah, that makes sense with all the cups. In Pisces, yeah, the caring for others, the universal family. And in the 3rd house, how you communicate, communicating the heart, communicating what is beautiful, communicating what connects us spiritually. So that's your beating heart. It's the thing, you will always come from that space. I feel like that's the light there that we see. And that communication, that connection of it is what sort of draws people to you and will keep you ahead. Okay, So what we're going to finish with is just a wild card. I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 5 because depending upon which it is will be your wild card. And in the intention of this, if it's a challenge that's going to turn up just before you get a breakthrough in either getting ahead or staying ahead. If it's a good wild card, then it's an indication or a sign that you're in flow for that. So pause if you need to. So for number 1, we have Earth. For number 2, we have Journey. Oh, that seems so fitting for this whole energy. For number 3, we have Autumn. For number 4, we have Hope. And number 5, we have Options. Okay, so if you chose number 1, so it says abundance, fertility, grounding. It's either telling you this is about starting a family or something like that, if that did connect when we saw child, and that's like father and mother and that kind of energy. Or this is that there is something very material about this and it's very grounded, being grounded, making it be good for the earth, bringing in abundance for yourself and others is a big focus of this. And I think with that blooming flower, it's likely to bloom. You're likely to sort of be in flow when you can see that things are going to grow. If you chose number 2, a physical or spiritual journey, you're either now being called on a journey to something new or you will be. This could be an internal journey, it could be an external journey, it could be both. That tells you you're in flow to move up the ladder and to sustain that. If you chose number 3 with Autumn, a period of maturity or a beginning of decline, I don't think we're talking about a decline here, but I feel like there is something, you need to let the old energy decline before you step into the new. It's just, to everything there is a season, as they say. Let the old kind of nourish the earth before you move forward. If you chose number 4, then you're hoping for something. And you actually need to back yourself and know that like hope is fine. Hope is likely to be realized, but you have the knowledge and the ability to do this. But once you get to that point, you're hoping for something. That's the dream being born. Back yourself because you're capable of doing it. And if you chose number 5, explore all your options. There's many choices about what you could do with this energy. So think about that which connects back to your major dream, the 9 of Cups. What is the quest? Where does it really fit with the quest? That's the way to make that decision. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome pile 3 to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Highly Sensitive Heartlight Edition Tarot. And as I said in the introduction, I had a very specific intention with the choice of decks because that will tell me something about your way that you get and stay ahead. And for anyone who's drawn to the Highly Sensitive Tarot, there's a very people-oriented side to this. So I think it's your people abilities, you're a people person. It doesn't mean you're a people pleaser. In fact, you probably wouldn't be with this energy. It's too nuanced. It's too understanding of people energy to be just a people pleaser. You might have started that way, but you certainly wouldn't be that way anymore. And many of you wouldn't have even started that way. So it's not just reactive. It's very nuanced. You're very, very good at people. You can read people incredibly well. You've got really highly tuned, I think, both analytical and intuitive abilities with people. And you can deal with people, negotiate with people, mediate with people, enjoy life with people, create with people. Like you're very people-centric and very, very good at it. And so I thought it was really interesting that the card that came out, the major arcana here, was the Lovers, which is the relationship choice card. So this tells me that one of the real things that works for you, that gets you ahead and is likely to keep you ahead, is that you make really good choices about people. Now, does this mean every friend that you make turns out to be a BFF? No. Does it mean every lover you choose is the one? No. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's always right, but your instincts around the people that you need in your life at the time you have them, whether it's for a soul lesson, if it's a bit challenging, or whether it's for nourishment and support and security when it isn't, is really spot on. So how you deal with people, and you should do like a job or a vocation is connected with people, because you will really excel at that. You just understand them on a level that most people don't. So that's kind of the feeling around this. Your advantage tends to be in that space in one form or another. And right now there may be a choice around a relationship or the relationships you want in your life, that kind of thing that's important to your strategic advantage. So it could be is this a good person to partner with in business? Is this somebody good to have as my life partner? Is this a good friend to have or whatever? But there's some sort of choice around that for you. And the other energies that are present at the moment is that either something is closing out and something new is beginning. So it could be, I'm now looking for a different type of relationship. So if you'd focus a lot on business relationships and now you're looking for a love relationship, it could be calling that energy in. So that's a possibility. Or I want to shift a relationship. It's got to where it could be as a friendship. I want it to be more. It could be leaving a workplace. You don't yet know where you're going, and so you've got new relationships to build. But there's some sort of energy like that. Or this is about a soul twin thing, because the world and the lovers together can sometimes mean that. And it may be that it is coming in. You either haven't met the person yet, or you've just met someone and you're wondering about it. Knowing that your instincts about this are really spot on. So it's interesting. There's something ending and something new coming in. So there is a stepping up the threshold. So between the first line of tarot, which we're going to look at, which is how you are ahead now of the game. The second line is how can you get even further ahead? So that could link back to this, some new ideas, some new way of thinking about things. Then the third line is going to be how do you stay ahead? So firstly, let's just see a little bit about why you're ahead in life right now. Why and where, because you might think, well, I'm not ahead in all areas, but where you are ahead, why is that? What's going on? Queen of Pentacles reversed, Two of Pentacles reversed, Five of Swords, Knight of Cups, the Emperor reversed. Okay, I feel for most of you, so I'm going to talk about that and then I'll look at the nuances, but for most of you, I actually think you are at a precipice of saying, I've spent a lot of time focusing on causes, career, that sort of thing. And I want to start thinking about my heart, not just around career. Because I feel like many of you, because you're really good at people, you kind of get drawn to places that are unstable, that it's hard, choices are hard to make, that there are power dynamics. Like you come in and you kind of resolve and help shift things. Like the Five of Swords is like knowing when battles are worth having and knowing when to walk away. I feel like there's sort of something in you that resolves and closes out energies, and it's very material, but it's not long term. It feels like whether you just, change jobs every couple of years or something, go to different organizations, or whether you're in a job that is about that, but there's sort of something that's not committed and not, it's very peripatetic. It's very, like moving around a lot, like it's not, and you may even not have been particularly committed to like material things or to jobs. You just go and you do what you need to do and then you move on. You don't really like power stuff. You prefer connections with people and you know when to move on. But this is telling me that there is an energy that you're starting to focus on, which is about love. What sort of offers touch your heart? So whether it's that you're looking for love, or whether it's that you want to work now more with someone that you love, so, like you might have a partner already, or whether it's like you're looking for the offer that is less about power dynamics and more about the heart. That energy is there, and so you're focusing here on your people skills to understand what is a good offer. So you may, in fact, for some of you, you may actually help people decide whether an offer is stable or not, whether somebody is trustworthy or not, and when to walk away. So there might be sort of something in there where you actually help people with that because you are so good at people. But I think for many of you, there's something here, there's a relationship choice that is a bit more about the heart. And I feel like you've kind of been restless, to be honest. I feel like it's almost you've wandered around in the world, and it's now time to find something to settle, but you want to make sure it's the right thing. And you've seen a lot of power dynamics. So if you're going to start to believe in something and connect your heart to it, you want to know that it's right. So there's a real assessment about whether something is worth committing to operating for you. And that's one of your strengths. You won't commit to something that isn't good to commit to. You'll walk away rather than get entrapped. But you are also able to see when something is genuine. So what could take you to the next level? Well, it'll be interesting to see if we have more heart energy here, because it might be pointing to something like that coming into your life. So what could take you to the next level of being ahead of the game? Five of Pentacles reversed, Seven of Swords, Eight of Swords reversed, Strength. Okay. So you're kind of paradoxical, pile 3, because your real strength is you understand people so well. And you're not cynical. Your heart is still there. But boy, you've seen the sort of darker side of people. Like, it actually makes me think a bit, I spent years doing human resources. And like, if you do that, you do spend a lot of your time dealing with, people who are bullies or harassing people, or, like toxic work environments or whatever. It can make you a bit jaded, and it is important to keep that sort of connection to people and caring about people in it. So it may be an energy a bit like that. You are very good at surviving in an environment that is not one that you should be committed to and not good, and finding the way to bring the heart to it. So you're very, very good at that. But equally, there's a kind of what's come out of that in a way for you, and this is what Spirit is asking you to think about, is this is the decision about who to connect to, what offers or whatever, to not be on your own all the time, because that's the other energy that's here. It's like you keep moving on. This is like the world. You complete things and move on. You don't settle. You don't commit. You keep moving on. And that can be fine to some degree, but it can be lonely. So at the moment, it's like finding a strength that is connecting with others, the right people, rather than just relying just on your own strength is what can take you forward. Like, who can you really connect to? Who can you collaborate with? Because at the moment, your cleverness in dealing with this, and your capacity to always find the way out is maybe limiting how far you can take this. Like, your ability is such that, all these things that are really great at finding what's not good in a workplace or in a social group or a political group or something like that, or being a journalist and being able to bring all that to the surface or whatever it is, you could actually turn some of this around and connect with certain people that would actually take it further, get a cause almost. So it's almost more moving from reactive and analytical on that level to proactive and creating. But like, it's your own cleverness in a way that you have to be aware is holding you back, because you feel like, like, what do they say, if all you have is a hammer, all you ever see is a nail. So it's like, if you're really good at the kind of the abusive relational energy, then that might be all you'll see. But there is also the heart. So there's something like that. This is asking you to find not only how to be free and move on from places that are toxic or help others in that, but also who to collaborate with. There's a call to collaborate operating here. That's why we've got the relationship choice there. So what then would keep you ahead of the game? The Hierophant, the Three of Wands reversed, the Ten of Swords reversed. Going back to first principles about what is it you're dealing with. A lot of this feels like being in workplaces or social groups or political groups, I've got to say. It doesn't have to be, but it's a really good example of it. It's knowing when you align with that. Are you in an organization where your values, or a group where your values and your beliefs align? If that's the case, you'll have the right connections. You'll be able to work with others. But also knowing where it diverges from that, and moving away from it gracefully and quietly so it's not too dramatic. So it's a nuance of what you're doing already. You're very, very good at reading a situation and environment. You're very good at seeing when it's being honest with what its values are, and when it's just a lot of propaganda and rhetoric. You're very, very good at that, whether it's in individual relationships or whether it's in groups. It is saying that you have had a tendency to tilt towards being footloose and fancy-free and moving on, rather than settling. Like, you almost think, well, there isn't such a good thing as a good workplace or a good cause, and it's saying rethink that, because you may find other people like you, and that is a stronger position to be in. Don't be too clever for your own good. And if you want to then find that and work on that, find where the true values, where people are walking the talk and where the true values fit. So, if you are someone who really doesn't like capitalism, it's probably not a good idea to work for a big corporate and go and work in a not-for-profit, for instance. If you are someone who believes in the power of education, then don't necessarily work for something that tries to trivialize that. Work for educational institutes or something like that. There's something about that, because it's saying there are your people out there and you are capable of finding them, but it's more that you've kind of dealt with the shadows, and it's time to deal with the heart and the light as well. Because you'll know always when to move away when it's not true. So trust that, but open yourself up. So let's have a look at the fortune energy that's around you at the moment. Mice, yeah, something's eating away at you at the moment. And this is also an attitudinal thing. I think you have an expectation that there's always the mice, there's always something that's eating away on you. Nothing is stable, nothing is going to be good or whatever. But you are able to find some. This is telling you that there is an untapped direction that you can take. Because at the moment you're letting your own ability eat away at what you could make out of it. Dog, there are loyal people, there are loyal friends and good people around. And maybe, if a lot of this is in your workplace, think about the friends you have, because you would have some really good friends because you are a very good people person. Fox, yeah. Remember those that are loyal when you're dealing with those that are sneaky. There is definitely something in the environments that you're in. And that's not really going to shift, because it's partly what your strategic advantage is, but it's a little bit out of balance at the moment. Pole 3. And mountain, yeah, and you've got a bigger cause. And that's what's calling you at the moment. And you'll need, if you're climbing up a mountain, you probably need to have good people with you. Try and do it on your own. It's probably not such a good idea. So let's see how to balance chakra energy for you. Firstly, the root chakra. Balanced, I'm focused. So, okay, you're very focused. So that's good. And that allows that to come in and allows you to start to focus differently if you want to. But yeah, your mind's very sharp. Your analytical abilities are very on point. Then we have heart. Overactive, I love, but I can struggle saying no. Okay, so that's interesting, because it's like walking away from a lot of the things that are bad. There is a possibility of being drawn in by bleeding hearts sometimes as well with this, but maybe one of the reasons that you've kind of kept yourself a bit separate is that when you do connect, you're kind of there completely for the person. So getting that into balance and knowing when to move forward and when not to move forward would be helpful. And then we have third eye, which sort of fits with that because it's often telepathic. I see and I learn from my experiences, balance. So yeah, you can go back and look at that. You can work out what did and didn't work and how to maybe say no when you need to and stay focused. So, I mean, you've got so much going for you. And as I say, your people skills are off the charts, but it's just, I just think you've been drawn into all these conflict and these less stable sort of situations because of it. So as I say, you start to just see the shadows everywhere, and they are around, but there's also some really good stuff and people who will go on the bigger journey with you. So let's get the Astro Dice and let's just see energy firstly for why you're ahead now, how you get more ahead, and then like how you stay ahead. So where you are right now, we have the North Node in Aries, in the 4th house. Yeah, you're very at home in these sort of competitive environments and these sort of really rapidly changing and like active environments and power-oriented environments or whatever. And you are meant to try and find the right home for that energy. That is what you're heading towards, but it's almost like it's been more a process of elimination. And this is now asking you to flip it a little bit and look at, instead of a process of elimination, a process of like a set of criteria to make that choice. So let's see what we get on that sort of energy, because it was saying instead of always finding the reason why not, find the reason to connect. So the energy around that is the moon in the 1st house in Taurus. Yeah. So this is saying, where do you feel emotionally at home? Where do you feel you can emotionally express yourself? That will tell you something. And be a little bit stubborn about it. Like those that are going to be the good friends, the people that go on the ride or die journey with you, will be happy for you to truly express who you are. You probably have muted that a bit to deal with these environments. So find those that you can be open with. And as I say, a bit stubborn and say, no, this is how I feel. This is actually how I feel. And then when we look at knowing when you really fit in, I think, to keep that advantage, the energy there is the moon in Aquarius in the 11th house. Yeah, that makes sense. What groups are you really philosophically aligned with and emotionally aligned with? And what is the future? What is your future emotional energy in relation to groups? This has very little to do with love, I think, in terms of falling in love. I mean, for some of you, there might be a love partner that triggers this, but for most of you, this is finding your people that you can be truly open with, rather than constantly finding the issues that need to be dealt with. It's actually finding your people. Okay. So to finish off, we're just going to get you a wild card. So I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 5. Pause if you need to, because whatever number it is your wild card. Now, if the wild card is a challenge, it'll be something that shows up just before you have a breakthrough for getting even further ahead or staying ahead. If it's a blessing, it's something that tells you you're in flow to get that, I'm going to stay ahead type of energy. So for number 1, we have door. For number 2, we have I. For number 3, we have home. For number 4, we have knowledge. And for number 5, we have remove masks. Okay. So if you chose number 1, you are about to step into something new. It goes, when one door closes, another door opens. To some degree, that is your pattern. But there is a more important door opening, and it's the one that leads to the mountain, I think. So just like the mountain there, we've got like the Eiffel Tower there. There's sort of like there's a big light on the hill. And so this is telling you that when you move away from one thing now that you've kind of assessed in the way you normally do and you've moved on, the next thing is going to be really important, and it's a place to seriously look at finding your people. If you chose number 2, look to see what is really there. Yeah, don't just expect things. You really have this ability, but as I say, it's like sometimes when we get really good at something, we almost get a bit lazy and we move too quickly. We make assessments too quickly. So really look at what's going on around you. There's an opportunity here to find the right connections. If you chose number 3, home is where the heart is. Where is your heart? It's like, yeah, where do you want to settle? Who would you want to settle with? What is the real thing? What fits with your values, rather than just dealing with a difficult and competitive world? Where would you feel at home? If you chose number 4, knowledge, gain new information through study, learn, there may be something about with the Hierophant, like staying ahead with that as well too, learning about a new industry, learning about a new cause, something that you could really intellectually get into is something that maybe will help you find your people. And if you chose number 5, remove the mask you hide behind, be your true self. That's a pretty clear message with all of this. It's like part of this really being able to assess this and understanding others and being very other person centered has been a little bit of a way to hide. So this is now inviting you to take the mask off and connect with those that are right for you. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.